Good morning. I want to talk today about the upcoming lunar month from October 21st through November 19th. So let's see if I can share my screen and then we can see what's going on. As usual, this will take just a few minutes as I have to get rid of some panels so that I can see what I'm doing. And I think we're ready. So this is the lunar month for the world, America, and Trump from October 21st through November 19th. And the aspects for the world are in many ways very interesting. We have some tensions, but we have some very good things going on too that are going to help mitigate those tensions and provide opportunities for everyone on the planet to transcend a bit. Now, on the good side, we will have Uranus making a sextile to Neptune all month long. It's exact on November 20th, the day after the new moon. Uranus will still be within 1 degree orb of making a trine to Pluto for most of the rest of October. And as this aspect wanes, Jupiter will begin to make a trine to Saturn, and it's going to stay within 1 degree orb for quite a while. It begins at the tail end of October and will continue through the rest of the lunar month. Now, we also have transiting Jupiter in Cancer, making a square to Chiron in Aries. That is exact on October 23rd. It began in the second half within 1 degree orb in the second half of October and goes through the first few days of November, staying within 1 degree orb. This is a very interesting aspect. A square, of course, represents a certain kind of tension that has to be resolved. With Jupiter in Cancer, a lot of people are concerned about their own personal security, their homes, and countries are concerned about the homeland. With Chiron in Aries, there is a concern about the spiritual worth and dignity of individuals. And with the square, we have a clash between these two things. On the one hand, people want security, but on the other hand, there are groups that want their own worth and dignity and individuality to be recognized. And we see this, for example, in things like the ongoing clash between Israelis and Palestinians in the Middle East, and more recently in the No Kings protest that over 7 million people in America participated in. And there were similar protests and crowds that took place in other countries who also don't like what Donald Trump is doing. So there's a lot of things going on. This is the sort of the highlighted tension for this lunar month, if you will. But last summer, for most of the summer, Saturn was within 1 degree orb of an exact conjunction with Neptune. The exact conjunction will take place on February 20th of 2026. So even though the planets have separated now by more than 1 degree, that vibration, those issues that Saturn conjunct Neptune brought forth in the summer, they're still around. people are still mulling these things over in their minds. And during Saturn-Neptune conjunctions, we tend to see old structures dissolving and new ideologies rising up to take their place. So, with both that conjunction and the minor grand trine being formed by Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, that is waxing and waning in strength over the next few years, we are in a time of great change. There are some aspects that are causing tension, but these aspects that are more harmonious, they are starting to kick in. People are opening up their minds. Even Republicans in America are sometimes now openly disagreeing with Donald Trump and some of his policies. And of course, with Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, we're continuing to see this explosion of technology and scientific inventiveness and creativity. So there's just a lot going on now and a lot of changes that are taking place, but there are also some more transcendent, more harmonious configurations occurring that are opening up people's minds. And for those who meditate or are more spiritually minded, this can be a time of tremendous advancement and growth for those people. Now, here is just sort of a list of a lot of the important astrological events happening this lunar month. Some I have outlined in reds. Those that are more harmonious, I've outlined in blue. So interesting things going on. On October 22nd, Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces. So we'll have both Saturn and Neptune back in Pisces for a while. But early in 2026, before the conjunction of those two planets in Aries on February 20th, we'll have both of those move back into Aries. And so what they're hesitant about right now, they will be in full agreement of in early 2026 when they both move back into Aries. Now, October 23rd and 24th are going to be days of heightened tensions because Jupiter will make an exact square to Chiron on the 23rd, and the Sun will make an exact square to Pluto on the 24th. These are days in which there's a heightened tension or likelihood for wounding and for oppression or disagreements with those in power. But also on the 24th through the 29th, we get these harmonious aspects involving Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. So these tensions are going to be followed by a greater chance for harmony. So this can be a mitigating influence. On October 29th, Mercury will be exactly opposite Uranus. Things could be a little bit more chaotic, particularly in the economy or stock market. On November 1st and 2nd, things will be tense because Venus will be in opposition to Chiron and square Jupiter. So that is actually going to complete a T-square between Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron. We recently had one between Jupiter, Sun, and Chiron on the day of the No Kings protest. So this can bring all of those events back into the limelight. Let's see, on November 4th, Mars will be in opposition to Uranus. Again, there can be some unexpected things happening, and they could be of a very aggressive nature. On November 7th, 2025, Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus. This can disrupt financial markets, economies for a bit. On November 9th and 11th, we have Mercury and Jupiter going retrograde. And remember, we have had, let's see, Jupiter square Chiron, the exact square was on the 23rd. It was pretty strong during the time that the agreement, the most recent agreement, was made between Israel and Hamas. But realizing that Jupiter was going to go retrograde and then Jupiter would square Chiron again, I've expected that the road to peace was still going to be a little rocky and that a lot of things in that initial agreement will still have to be ironed out. They will have to be revisited and resolved, and that seems to be happening right now. On the 12th, we have Mercury conjunct Mars, so that could make arguments, disagreements more likely. But on the 16th and 17th, Sun will be making a trine to Jupiter and a trine to Saturn. And so the Sun is going to be completing this grand trine with Jupiter and Saturn. So that will be a good period. So we can see there are some ups and downs throughout the month, which help modify the overall meaning we saw over here, where we had a lot of good stuff, but some tensions to deal with. Okay, now on the new moon, we have a lot of beneficial aspects. We have this Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto minor grand trine, and a Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. Let's see, Saturn, North Node, grand trine. So a minor grand trine and a regular grand trine. So this is going to bring in a lot of harmony for the month. But at the same time, we have Sun, Moon in opposition to Chiron, and more generally, Sun, Moon, Chiron, Jupiter, Pluto making a grand cross. Some parts of this are stronger than others. But this suggests that there can be some wounding that occurs. Basically, we might say that this month it's expected that individuals are going to want their dignity to be recognized, their spiritual worth to be recognized by other people and other groups. This is the situation that has to be faced this month. And with the square from Jupiter to Chiron, with Jupiter in Cancer, Chiron in Aries, as I said, it's about one group wanting to expand its control in order to ensure its security versus other groups that are seeking individual recognition. Okay, now I have a list of things that have happened during past squares between Jupiter in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. And I'm just going to try and go through this as quickly as I can. August 12th, 1729. And through a lot of the 1700s, it was a tension between the colonies in the New World, the English colonies that became America, and the British Crown. So on August 12th, 1729, there was a colonial expansion in America, and the British Crown was actively consolidating control over the Carolinas. September 8th, 1776, Captain Nathan Hale of the Continental Army volunteered for a covert mission to gather intelligence behind British lines. He was captured, and on September 22nd, he was executed, and he uttered that famous line of his, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." 1777, we had a couple of exact squares, and they coincided with events in the American Revolution that were going on. On May 21st, there was this ongoing effort to disrupt British supply lines. Let's see, on October 20th in 1823, Europe was still digesting the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, and French troops worked to restore King Ferdinand VII to the monarchy in Spain. In Latin America, Simón Bolívar was reshaping things. And in America, the Monroe Doctrine was just about to be implemented, which essentially was trying to establish security for America by saying that we have control over what goes on in North and South America. There was another exact square on November 29th of 1823, and this was just sort of a continuation of what was happening during the exact square on October 20th of 1823. Another exact square in 1824. And let's see, Don Augustine de Iturbide, who'd been president of Mexico, declared himself emperor, was overthrown. He is executed by a firing squad in the city of Padilla. And then we have the Peruvian War of Independence going on, and the First Anglo-Ashanti War ends with forces of the Ashanti Empire having to flee the field. Moving on to 1871, French government troops entered Paris, overthrew something called the Commune. Began bloody week, leading to the deaths of over 20,000 Parisians and the arrests of over 38,000 more. There's another French government massacre that happened. There's a United States expedition to Korea that did not work out well, resulted in the deaths of 250 Koreans and diplomatic failure to open up Korea. And in New York City, the conflict was against corruption, the corruption of the political machine and Boss Tweed. Let's see, and then we get to 1918. We had another exact square between Jupiter and Cancer and Chiron and Aries. We had the Second Battle of the Marne. An Allied counteroffensive began in France. German forces retreated. This was during World War I. We had the execution of the Romanov family. A German U-boat attacked Massachusetts. And then there were race riots in Chester, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, resulting in multiple deaths and highlighting racial tensions during wartime. What all of these things have in common is a conflict between those who are trying to expand their control to enhance their security and other groups that want to be independent and recognized for their spiritual worth and dignity. Okay, so all of that is being repeated around the world right now because we have Jupiter in Cancer squaring Chiron again. During the first quarter moon, we have Uranus opposite this Mercury-Mars conjunction. And so we can expect some heated debates, possible violence, heated arguments around this time. And Venus is completing a T-square with Chiron and Jupiter. And we previously had Sun completing that T-square during the No Kings protests in America and around the world. But thanks to good aspects, those protests were very peaceful, and there were no arrests being made and no skirmishes with police or ICE that got out of control. And let's see, at this first quarter moon, we have Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Moon making a minor grand trine. We have Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Mercury making a grand trine. And we have Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune making a minor grand trine. So there is a lot of harmony out there this month. Let's see. Let me go back to the new moon. We saw a good deal of harmony at the new moon, and probably even more at the first quarter moon. When we get to the full moon on November 5th, 2025, we have Jupiter, Chiron, Venus, and Pluto making a grand cross. So basically, a lot of the conflict indicated by Jupiter square Chiron that I've been discussing, that is going to be highlighted throughout the entire month. And various things are going to be triggering it. It's always security versus independence and recognition of the other's dignity and self-worth. Let's see, we also have Uranus still opposite Mars and Mercury. Let's see, that was present at the quarter moon, and we're somewhat on the other side of it at the full moon. Though this Mars opposite Uranus, that is going to be pretty close to exact, just past exact. So this could be a time of more aggression and violence. But we have the good aspects. We have Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, minor grand trine. Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, minor grand trine. Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, grand trine, and a Mars, Pluto, Neptune, minor grand trine. So again, we have a lot of harmonious energies and aspects to balance things out. And I have some optimism that the harmonious aspects are going to win out in this case, or at least help contain the damage caused by some of these more discordant aspects that are going on. So this could be a time where things are energized for change, but where things also move forward in a positive way. Let's hope that that is indeed the case. Then we get to the third quarter moon. On November 11th, we still have Jupiter square Chiron. That is prominent throughout the month, as are a lot of good aspects. The Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, minor grand trine, the Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune minor grand trine, and a Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune grand trine. And when we get to the new moon, some of these harmonious aspects are going to be even more stronger, as you can see in this chart. We'll have Uranus opposite Sun, Moon, and Mercury. We have a lot of oppositions to Uranus this month, so we can expect the unexpected. With Uranus having moved back into Taurus at one point in this month, that could affect financial matters, economic matters. So the economy may also be on people's minds. And we have, as I said, Jupiter square Chiron, that is still within orb. So this is going to be an issue this entire month. But we have a lot of harmony too. Again, we have Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, minor grand trine, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter grand trine, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, minor grand trine, and Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, minor grand trine. So interesting things going on. Now, if we look at America, and I usually use the July 2nd, 1776 chart for America because that's when the Declaration of Independence was actually passed by the Continental Congress. And looking at October, we began with Chiron square the moon and square Mercury. And that was stronger in the first half of the month. And that's when I was expecting more wounding to the economy, more wounding to free speech. Tariffs are kicking in, inflation is going up. And of course, as I record this on October 19th, the US government is still in a shutdown, which is affecting the economy. And we have also had Neptune square Venus, which is creating discontent among people. People are dissatisfied with the philosophies of the country, the direction we're going in. That is going to be in effect throughout the entire lunar month. It's starting to weaken a bit, as will the squares from Chiron to Moon and Mercury as we move through October. And then this gets outside of that 1 degree orb pretty early on in November. But Neptune square Venus, that continues. But we also have some good things going on. We'll have Jupiter conjunct Mercury in opposition to the moon. Those aspects are always colored in red bars by my program, but since Jupiter is involved, it's more likely to be beneficial. So something may happen that will begin to provide economic relief. Maybe we'll end the government shutdown during this period. And we also have Saturn making a sextile to the moon and a trine to Mercury during this period. That'll be very beneficial. And that means that transiting Saturn is going to be making a sextile to transiting Jupiter, or actually, let's see, a trine to transiting Jupiter. So that is also going to be helpful. So there is a better chance as we move into this next lunar month of the government shutdown in America being resolved and some sort of agreement being reached with respect to the budget and the economy. Let us hope that things work out in a good way for America, because it's just not that much fun right now. Okay, but again, as we move into this lunar month, the picture for America will start looking better, And since Mercury and the moon are involved, that suggests that the American economy and the feelings of the American people are going to be in the forefront throughout the entire month. And people will continue to feel dissatisfaction, Neptune square Venus, but that will start to lessen as we go throughout this lunar month. Now, at the new moon, let's see here, we have transiting Neptune making a strong square to natal Venus, transiting Chiron, squaring Mercury and the moon. And we also have at this new moon, the sun and moon making a strong square to Pluto. This will probably represent a lot of disagreement that the people will have with Trump or other powers that be. And this could also say something about how other countries feel right now about American power. But at the same time, transiting Jupiter is making that conjunction with natal Mercury, opposition to the natal moon, and that will probably bring some sort of relief to people in the economy. We also have transiting Mars and Mercury making a quincunx to natal Chiron. Mars has to do with assertion, aggression, Mercury with communication. A quincunx is usually an aspect that denotes adjustments of some sort. Chiron in Aries can often manifest as wounding, sometimes as something more transcendent, the recognition of the worth of individuals. But this indicates some sort of adjustment. This might, for example, indicate an adjustment in the aggressive stance that we are taking against some other countries. That's one possibility. It could be some other things, but we'll have to keep an eye to see what kind of adjustments America makes to things in this upcoming lunar month. Now, the full moon is on November 5th. Transiting Neptune has moved back into Pisces, but it's still making a square with natal Venus. Transiting Jupiter is still conjunct natal Mercury and opposite natal moon. And Saturn is making that trine to natal Mercury and the moon. It's also making a trine to transiting Jupiter. And this can indicate conservatives and progressives working together to come to some sort of deal on the American economy and the country's budget that will help benefit people. And the moon also has to do with health. So it is no surprise that healthcare is one of the major issues in America right now, and one of the major reasons for the shutdown of the government. Okay. Now, at the new moon on November 19th, again, we still have Neptune making that square to Venus, and we still have transiting Jupiter, conjunct natal Mercury opposite the moon, and transiting Saturn, making that trine to natal Mercury and a sextile to the natal moon. So the dissatisfaction is lessening now because Neptune is separating from that square to Venus. And Jupiter and Saturn, it looks like they're going to work together to provide some relief for Americans and for the economy. Eventually, Neptune is going to move direct again, Saturn will move direct again, and both will come into a square with Venus again. So eventually, we're going to have more dissatisfaction. But for now, things may be easing up as we move through this upcoming lunar month. Now, for Donald Trump, I've often pointed out that he has the kind of chart such that when he has a A square to one thing usually has a sextile or a trine made by that same planet to something else. And so every time he gets into trouble, something throws him a lifeline. He'll probably get a few more lifelines this month. For example, as we start out the month, Jupiter will still be conjunct his natal Saturn. That is expanding his luck and control over situations quite a bit. And when it was exact on the 13th was the day that he flew to Israel to announce the uh, ceasefire and hostage prisoner exchange deal between Israel and Hamas. He also has transing Jupiter making a sextile to his midheaven. That was exact, it looks like on the 20th, right before the start of this lunar month. And it's going to wane a bit, but then start to increase in strength again. So he's going to have good luck as a leader throughout the entire month. He has transiting Uranus square his ascendant. This has been affecting him a lot this year. We've seen a lot of chaos come out of this presidency. We have seen him flip-flop on a lot of tariff deals and other things. So he will continue to do unexpected things throughout this entire lunar month and probably to continue to change his mind on different issues quite a bit. Currently, he has a flip-flop on issues such as supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. At one point, he seemed to favor it, then he talked with Putin, and now he seems to not favor it so much. He does have transiting Chiron square his natal Saturn, which will be exact on November 10th. That is going to cause him some wounding and some problems, but he also has transiting Saturn making a trine to his natal Venus, which rules his 10th house of status. That's exact on November 2nd. So again, while he's being wounded to some extent, he's being thrown lifelines elsewhere. And Jupiter conjunct Venus, that will help enhance his status. So in some ways, he's going to be wounded, but in other ways, he has his status and prestige enhanced. And Chiron making a sextile to his sun will help bring him healing. And it looks like while he has Jupiter making a sextile to his midheaven, in the latter part of this upcoming lunar month, Saturn will make a sextile to his midheaven also. So the last week and a half of this lunar month will probably be very, very beneficial in terms of Trump's status and prestige. And probably more beneficial things going on that will consolidate his power and control. More of that, as opposed to the protests and the wounding that others will bring to him. Okay, at the new moon, he's had transing lunar nodes square Uranus for quite a time. And that just simply enhances his erraticness. He has transing Uranus square his ascendant. That's been going on for a while. Again, makes him very erratic. Flip-flop, does unexpected things. And he still has transing Chiron square Saturn and Venus, so he does have the wounding going on. But he also has transing Jupiter conjunct his natal Venus and Saturn, and sextile his natal midheaven right here. And transing Saturn is making a trine to his natal Venus. Transing Saturn is moving retrograde, so as we go through the month, trines to natal Venus and natal Saturn get stronger. as do a sextile to the midheaven. At the full moon, transing Chiron is still square natal Saturn and Venus. He's still being wounded, criticized for various actions. Transiting Mars and Uranus are going to be squaring the ascendant. This is completing a T-square, and this could be something that could be a little bit more serious for him, because in addition to just being erratic, doing the unexpected, there is a heightened risk of an accident or violence against him. Those might be outliers. What has a greater probability, though, is that something will probably happen at the time of the full moon, which is making him very angry. That, based upon past history, is the most likely outcome, but we can't rule out the possibility of acts of violence occurring, or Trump having an accident or a heart attack. Possibility. Just a few things. There are several things that could happen that are all in line with the meanings of these planetary drives. But he also has Jupiter, conjunct Venus and sextile the midheaven, and Saturn trine natal Venus and making a sextile to the midheaven. And those are going to be very beneficial to his prestige and status and give him luck in those areas. And then when we get to the new moon on November 19th, we still have transing Chiron within 1 degree orb. This time it's going to be squaring natal Saturn, but Saturn is conjunct his natal Venus. So this has to do with his status also. Saturn has to do with regulation and control. So some sort of wounding to his control over things. Maybe the courts will put a stop to some of his actions, for example. And we still have transing Uranus square natal ascendant. That's there throughout the entire lunar month for him. So he continues to be erratic, but at least the lunar nodal axis is moving away from those squares to his natal Uranus. So Uranus is not going to be quite as intense at the end of this lunar month, but he's still got all these good aspects. Transiting Jupiter, sextile midheaven, transiting Saturn, trine, his natal Venus and sextile the natal midheaven, transiting Jupiter, conjunct Venus, and transiting Chiron is going to make a sextile to his natal sun, which brings him much needed healing from whatever other problems he's experiencing. Okay, so that is going to wrap it up for the lunar month, for the world, for America, and for Trump. Let me stop sharing. In a nutshell, for the world, the focus appears it will be on those issues of security versus recognizing the dignity, spiritual worth, and independence of other groups. And that is what we're seeing happening between Israel and Hamas, and between Russia and Ukraine. We see that happening in America. Groups that need their dignity recognized, that need legal due process to be followed. And we probably see it elsewhere in the world too. But at the same time, there are some very harmonious aspects involving outer planets going on. And that is opening up people's minds to new perspectives, new ways of looking at things. And we're continuing to make tremendous advances in science and technology. For America, there's going to be a lot of focus on the economy and the health of people in this country. the population in this country, ways in which they're being wounded. Uh, that is going to be an issue throughout the entire month. But as we move into the latter part of October and throughout the rest of this lunar month, the chances of some sort of resolution to the current problems becomes more likely. We will hopefully end the government shutdown, and good aspects, a trine between transiting Saturn and transiting Jupiter, will make it easier from an astrological perspective for conservatives and progressives to work together to solve some of the current problems in America, some of these budget problems and other things going on. And then for Trump, even though there's still some wounding going on to him and some frustrations he'll experience, even though he will continue to act very chaotically throughout the month, do a lot of unexpected things, a lot of spur of the moment things, probably a lot of flip flops. It will probably wind up being a very good month for him because Jupiter will be conjunct his Venus and Saturn. It'll be making a sextile to his midheaven, and then before you know it, Saturn will also be making a sextile to his midheaven while transiting Saturn and transiting Jupiter are making a trine to one another. So, for better or worse, he will probably have a lot of good luck this month. His status will probably be enhanced. Though, of course, there is that one period, I think it was at the new moon, when both Mars and Uranus will be opposite one another and both will be squaring his ascendant. That is the time of maybe the most risk for him personally this month. So we can keep an eye on his health. Any more assassination plots against him? That's a possibility, but I consider it an outlier because usually the president is well protected. And the most likely outcome, as I've said, is that he may just be very angry about things at the time of the full moon. There are outcomes with lesser probabilities like heart attacks, physical attacks on him, accidents, other health problems that could suddenly arise. But overall, I expect his status and prestige to go up more than it goes down this month, whether that's well-deserved or not. So that's it for the month. If you're in America, watch out for your pocketbook and your health care. But for America and also the world at large, this is a great time to transcend. Outer planets are making very harmonious aspects to one another. These aspects are going to be around off and on for the next 4 years. So this is a great time to go within, to meditate, maybe medicate also, but meditate, find that still small voice within, find your spiritual center. You can make a very strong spiritual connection at this point, and you can make a lot of spiritual advancement this month and others. And the more that you can do that, the less you will be bothered by all these other external things that are going on. So that's going to be it for this lunar month. I hope you enjoyed this report, and I hope you join me for more. But for now, I'll just say so long and be well.